The warm summer breeze swept across the wheat fields of New Eden Colony. Adam Clark ran through the golden stalks, his laughter carrying across the farmland. At 10 years old, he was the pride of his parents' lives. Jack and Mary Clark had moved to this colony world 5 years ago, seeking a fresh start away from the crowded cities of Earth. Adam, don't go too far. Mary called from the porch of their modest homestead. Dinner in 20 minutes. Okay, Mom. Adam yelled back, but continued his adventure to the edge of the property where the wheat field met the forest line. The boy slowed as he reached the trees. Dad had always told him not to enter the woods alone. Strange animals lived there, creatures the scientists were still studying. Adam stopped at the boundary, picking up a stick to draw patterns in the dirt. A flash of blue light caught his eye. Something shimmered between two large trees. It wasn't like anything Adam had seen before, not the colony's vehicles or the wildlife. Curious, he took 2 steps closer. The light pulsed again, brighter this time. Adam felt drawn to it. Maybe it was one of those glowing insects Dr. Patel had shown his class last week. He stepped closer, crossing the boundary his father had forbidden. The air felt different here, colder, thicker somehow. The blue light expanded, forming a perfect circle about the size of a doorway. Adam reached out his hand. The moment his fingers touched the light, he felt a sharp tug. Before he could scream, the forest vanished. Adam felt like he was falling through cold water. His lungs burned. His skin tingled painfully. Then nothing. Jack Clark wiped sweat from his brow as he finished repairing the irrigation system. The summer had been unusually hot, even for New Eden. He checked his watch. Almost dinner time. Mary would have something delicious waiting, and Adam would be bursting with stories about whatever adventure he'd invented today. The thought made Jack smile. His son had such an imagination. Just yesterday, Adam had spent hours building a spaceship from old farm equipment parts. The boy was smart, too smart sometimes. The colony school could barely keep him challenged. Jack packed up his tools and headed toward the house. As he approached, he saw Mary on the porch, hands on her hips, looking out toward the fields. "Have you seen Adam?" she asked when Jack got closer. "Not since lunch. Isn't he playing in the fields?" Mary frowned. "I called him for dinner 20 minutes ago. He answered me, but he hasn't come back. He probably got distracted. You know how he is." Jack set down his toolbox. "I'll go find him." Jack walked through the wheat field, calling Adam's name. No response. He reached the forest edge where Adam often played and felt a chill despite the warm evening. Something wasn't right. "Adam," he called louder. Birds scattered from the trees at his voice, but otherwise, the forest remained still. Jack found small footprints in the dirt leading into the trees. Adam knew he wasn't supposed to go in there alone. Fear gripped Jack's heart as he followed the tracks. The footprints stopped abruptly about 20 feet into the forest. There was no sign of struggle, no broken branches or disturbed earth, just a strange circular pattern in the dirt, as if something round had pressed down on the forest floor. Jack ran back to the house. Mary could tell from his face that something was wrong. "Call security," Jack said, his voice tight with worry. "Adam's gone into the forest, and I can't find him." Within an hour, 50 colonists were searching the woods. By nightfall, that number had doubled. Security officers used thermal scanners and brought in tracking animals. The colony's small fleet of drones buzzed overhead, their lights cutting through the darkness. Days passed, then weeks. Search parties combed every inch of the forests and the surrounding mountains. Jack and Mary barely slept, joining every search, calling Adam's name until their voices gave out. But Adam Clark had vanished without a trace. Unknown to the desperate parents and colonists, their boy was no longer on New Eden. Adam floated in a clear tank filled with bluish liquid, unconscious, as strange beings with elongated limbs and large black eyes observed him through the glass. A data screen beside the tank displayed the words Human Specimen Number 37, Resilience Test Series. The Galactic Council had claimed another child for their experiments. 2 years passed slowly for the Clark family. Jack had built a small shrine in Adam's room, refusing to change anything. Mary kept washing Adam's clothes each month, as if he might return any day. The colony of New Eden had moved on, but the Clarks remained frozen in time, waiting for answers that never came. Meanwhile, in the far reaches of the Ta Ceti system, the Earth Defense Force vessel *Retribution* drifted silently. Commander Ethan Powell stood on the bridge, staring at the strange energy readings on the main screen. "Are you sure about this, Lieutenant?" Ethan asked, turning to his science officer. Lieutenant Susan Miller nodded. "Yes, sir. These energy patterns don't match any known natural phenomenon. Something is hiding out there." Ethan stroked his beard. "Could be miners or smugglers. Or it could be aliens," Susan said quietly. "The energy signature matches fragments we've detected before, when ships vanished near the outer colonies." Ethan sighed. Earth had made contact with alien life 10 years ago, but relations remained distant and tense. Most alien species seemed unwilling to engage with humans beyond basic trade. "Take us in closer, but keep us dark," Ethan ordered. "No active scans." The *Retribution* glided forward, its engines barely a whisper. As they approached the source of the energy readings, a structure began to take shape on their passive sensors. "It's big," Susan whispered. "At least 3 kilometers across. And it's definitely not human," added the tactical officer, Ron Baker. "The design doesn't match any Earth patterns." Ethan made his decision. "Prepare a stealth shuttle. I want a closer look." 4 hours later, Susan led a team of 6 special operations soldiers toward the mysterious station in a black shuttle designed to absorb rather than reflect sensor suites. They approached from below, where the station's sensor coverage appeared weakest. "I've found what looks like a maintenance dock," Susan reported over the secure channel. "We can dock there with minimal risk of detection." The shuttle slipped into the small opening and settled onto the deck with a soft thud. The team exited wearing full tactical gear and breathing masks. The air was breathable, but had a strange, sweet smell. "Split into pairs," ordered Captain Frank Nelson, the team leader. "Find out what this place is, but don't engage unless necessary." Susan paired with Sergeant Olivia Green, a combat veteran with sharp eyes and steady hands. They moved through narrow corridors, taking pictures of strange symbols and technology, unlike anything humans had developed. "This way," Susan whispered, following readings on her handheld scanner. "I'm detecting multiple life forms ahead." They entered a dimly lit section of the station. The walls here were transparent, revealing small cells on both sides of the corridor. Inside each cell was a different creature. Some paced nervously, others lay motionless on simple beds. All showed signs of medical procedures, bandages, scars, or strange devices attached to their bodies. "This is a lab," Olivia whispered in horror. "They're experimenting on these beings." Susan moved forward, scanning each cell until her device beeped softly near the end of the hall. She gasped as she looked into the cell. Inside was a human boy, thin and pale. His head had been shaved, and surgical scars crisscrossed his scalp. Tubes ran from his arms to machines beside the small bed where he lay. His eyes were open but unfocused. "It's a child," Susan said, her voice breaking. "They have a human child." Olivia immediately called Captain Nelson. "Sir, we'd found a human prisoner. Looks like a young boy, maybe 12 years old." "Any others?" Nelson asked. "Not that we've found yet," Olivia replied. "But sir, he's been cut open. There are implants." "Get him out," Nelson ordered. "All teams converge on Lieutenant Miller's position. We're taking the boy and leaving. Move fast." Susan worked on the cell's lock while Olivia stood guard. When the door slid open, Susan rushed to the boy's side. "Hey," she said gently. We're humans, like you. We're here to take you home." The boy turned slowly toward her voice. His eyes struggled to focus. "Adam," he whispered. "My name is Adam Clark." An alarm suddenly blared through the station. Red lights flashed in the corridor. "They know we're here," Olivia said, raising her weapon. "We need to move now." Susan carefully removed the tubes from Adam's arms and wrapped him in her tactical jacket. The boy was so light she could carry him easily. "Hold on, Adam," she whispered. "We're getting you out of here." The shuttle raced away from the alien station, alarms blaring behind them. Inside, Susan held Adam close as the boy shivered despite the warm blankets wrapped around him. "We've got company," Frank warned from the pilot's seat. "3 ships coming after us." The shuttle shook as energy beams passed nearby. Ethan's voice came through the radio from the Retribution *. "We see them, Captain. Hang on. We're coming to you." The Retribution * suddenly appeared from behind a small moon, its weapons already firing. The alien pursuers scattered, surprised by the human warship. "Get that shuttle aboard now," Ethan ordered, "and prepare for immediate jump." Minutes later, the shuttle landed safely in the Retribution's Bay. Medical teams rushed forward as Susan carried Adam out. "He needs help," she said. "They did things to him." Dr. Alan Barnes, the ship's chief medical officer, quickly examined the boy. "Get him to Medical Bay immediately." As the Retribution * jumped away from the Ta-CD system, Alan worked to stabilize Adam. The boy's body was covered with surgical scars. Strange metal devices had been implanted under his skin. Tiny wires ran along his spine and into his brain. "What did they do to you?" Alan whispered as he scanned the boy's body. Laura Wright, the ship's psychologist, stood nearby. "Is he stable enough to talk?" Alan nodded. "But be gentle. He's been through hell." Laura approached the bed where Adam lay. His eyes followed her, more alert now. "Hello, Adam. I'm Laura. You're safe now, on a human ship." Adam's lips trembled. "How long?" he asked in a raspy voice. "How long what, sweetheart?" Laura asked. "How long was I there? How long since they took me?" Laura looked at Alan, who checked his datapad. "Records show Adam Clark disappeared from New Eden Colony about 2 years ago." Tears filled Adam's eyes. "Only 2 years. It felt like forever." "Can you tell us what happened?" Laura asked softly. "Any information might help us understand why they took you." Adam closed his eyes. "They called themselves the Galactic Council, 18 alien species working together. They said humans were dangerous, that we grow too fast and learn too quickly." He paused, his breath shaky. "They wanted to understand us better, to find our weaknesses." "The implants," Alan said. "What are they for?" "Pain," Adam whispered. "They wanted to see how much pain humans could take before we break. They changed my nerves so everything hurt more. They kept notes on how loud I screamed." Laura fought back tears as she held Adam's hand. "Did they have other humans?" Adam nodded weakly. "Many. Children, mostly. They said children adapt better to the tests. I could hear them sometimes in other rooms. Crying. Screaming." His voice broke. Some stopped making sounds after a while. Alan's scans beeped as they completed. He looked at the results, and his face hardened. "These implants are connected to his central nervous system. They're designed to amplify pain signals by about 300%. He looked at Laura. "Everything this boy has felt for 2 years has been 3 times more painful than it should be." Laura squeezed Adam's hand gently. "We'll remove them. You won't hurt anymore." "There's more," Adam said. "I heard them talking. They have research bases all over, dozens of places with human children." He tried to sit up. "You have to help them too." "We will," Laura promised. "But first, we need to help you." Alan worked through the night, carefully removing the external implants. Some were too deeply embedded to risk removal without proper facilities. He downloaded data from the devices, hoping to understand their purpose better. Meanwhile, Ethan Powell sent an encrypted message to Earth Command. Have rescued human child from alien research facility. Child reports systematic torture of human children by entity calling itself Galactic Council. Multiple facilities suspected. Request immediate instructions and support. Sending all data collected. The response came swiftly. Return to Earth immediately. Top priority. Presidential briefing scheduled upon arrival. Well done, Commander. Bring our boy home. Ethan looked at the message for a long time. Then he walked to the medical bay where Adam slept fitfully under sedation. We're taking you home, he said quietly to the sleeping child. And then we're going to find who did this and make them pay. The Retribution landed at the main Earth spaceport in North America. A medical team waited on the landing pad, along with high-ranking military officers and government officials. Adam, now stronger after a week of proper care, walked slowly down the ramp with Laura beside him. Jack and Mary Clark stood at the bottom, tears streaming down their faces. 2 years of grief and uncertainty had aged them beyond their years. Mom, Dad, Adam called, his voice breaking. Mary rushed forward and wrapped her arms around her son. Jack joined them, holding his family tight as if they might vanish again. My baby, Mary sobbed. My sweet baby. Admiral Catherine Moore watched the reunion with a tight jaw. Her gray hair was pulled back in a severe bun, her uniform perfect. She turned to Ethan. We've reviewed your data, Commander. The President has called an emergency meeting of the United Government. Your presence is requested, along with Dr. Barnes and the boy when he's ready. 3 days later, Adam sat in a large meeting room. The walls were lined with screens showing leaders from every Earth colony and nation. President William Carter sat at the head of the table, his face grim. Young man, the President said gently to Adam, I know this is hard, but can you tell us what you told Commander Powell? Adam looked at his parents, who nodded encouragingly. He took a deep breath. The aliens who took me call themselves the Galactic Council. They think humans are dangerous because we learn too fast and fight too much. Adam's voice grew stronger as he spoke. They took lots of kids, not just me. They put things inside us to see how much pain we could take. He pulled up his sleeve, showing scars along his arm. They cut us open while we were awake. They made us feel everything. They wrote down our screams. The room was silent. On the screens, world leaders looked shocked or sickened. Alan stood up next. He showed scans of Adam's body, pointing out the implants and explaining their purpose. Some were still inside Adam, too dangerous to remove. These devices were designed solely to cause suffering, Alan concluded. There is no medical or scientific value to this type of research. This was torture, plain and simple. Laura presented her psychological assessment next. Adam and the other children were kept isolated, told they were forgotten, that Earth didn't care about them. The emotional trauma was as deliberate as the physical pain. President Carter's face was dark with anger. And you say there are more children in these facilities? Yes, sir, Ethan said. Based on data we extracted, we believe there are at least 12 more facilities with human children. Possibly more. The President nodded slowly. We must establish contact with this Galactic Council. Demand the return of our children and explanations for these actions. Within days, Earth's most advanced communication systems broadcast a message to the coordinates found in the alien data. The message was simple. This is Earth United Government. We know you have taken our children. Return them immediately and prepare to account for your actions. The response came a week later. A hologram appeared in the United Government chamber. It showed a tall, thin alien with gray skin and large black eyes. Its head was elongated, and it wore ornate robes. I am High Arbiter Zex Kalen of the Galactic Council, it said in perfect English. Your message has been received. We demand the return of our children. President Carter said, standing tall. The alien tilted its head. Your species is being studied, as is our right. Your development poses a potential threat to galactic order. Torture is not study, Admiral Moore snapped. Those are our children you're butchering. Primitive beings have primitive concerns, Zex Kalin said dismissively. The Council has authority over all developing species. Your emotions are irrelevant to the greater galactic order. You will return our children, the President repeated, or face the consequences. The alien's face showed something like amusement. You would threaten the Council. Know your place, human. We are 18 species united across 2,000 worlds. You are one world, barely able to reach your own solar system. Adam, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly stood up. I remember you, he said, his voice shaking. You watched them cut me open. You smiled when I screamed. The alien looked at Adam. Specimen 37. You function still. Interesting data point. Admiral Moore stepped forward. You will answer for every tear, every scream, every moment of fear our children endured. This I promise you. The hologram flickered off without response. President Carter looked around the room. Prepare for war. Earth changed overnight. Old enemies became allies. Nations that had fought for centuries now worked side by side. Every shipyard across the planet and its colonies worked around the clock. The threat to humanity's children united the species like nothing before. General Paul Winters stood in the massive hangar at the Mars military complex. Hundreds of ships were under construction, from small fast attack vessels to huge dreadnoughts. Workers swarmed over them like ants, welding and assembling day and night. Will it be enough? Asked the President, who had come to inspect the fleet. Paul shook his head. Not yet. But we're learning from the data taken from that research station. Their technology is advanced, but not unbeatable. At a research facility in the Rocky Mountains, scientists Daniel Richards and Grace Lopes worked on the alien tech removed from Adam's body. They had discovered something important. Look at this, Grace said, pointing to a screen showing energy patterns. All their systems use this same energy signature. It's like a fingerprint. Daniel nodded excitedly. If we can create a weapon that targets just this energy pattern, we could disable their technology without destroying everything. Grace finished. Their ships, weapons, shields, all would shut down. The weapon development moved quickly. Tests showed promising results. Meanwhile, military training intensified. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Humanity prepared for its first interstellar war. Adam Clark, now 13, didn't join the regular military. Instead, he worked with intelligence officers, sharing everything he remembered about the Council's facilities, ships, and species. His memory was sharp, enhanced by his desire for justice. They always seemed most afraid of humans learning too much, Adam told the officers. They kept saying we were dangerous because we adapt so quickly. One officer smiled grimly. They're about to find out how dangerous we can be. After 3 months of intense preparation, Earth was ready. The fleet gathered in orbit around Mars. 500 ships of various sizes, all upgraded with the new weapons developed by Daniel and Grace. The largest ship, a massive dreadnought, was named Vengeance *. Admiral Moore took personal command. Before the fleet departed, a ceremony was held. The families of missing children placed pictures of their loved ones on a memorial wall inside the Vengeance *. Adam added photos of the children he had heard in nearby cells, though he had never seen their faces. We go for them, Admiral Moore said to the assembled crews. We go for every child taken, for every family torn apart. We will bring our children home, and we will bring justice to those who harmed them. The fleet departed with little fanfare. They traveled through newly discovered jump points, pathways through space that allowed faster-than-light travel. These routes were found in the data from the research station. The Council did not expect humans to have this knowledge. Admiral Moore gathered her senior officers in the Vengeance's War room. A holographic map showed their target. Zeltarum, a council research world where, according to intelligence, many human children were held. Adam's information gives us an advantage, she explained. He knows their security protocols, their shift changes, even which species are most likely to help us rather than fight. Ethan Powell, now a captain with his own ship in the fleet, studied the defenses around Zeltarum. Their planetary shield is strong, but has a weakness here. He pointed to a spot on the map. If we time our attack during their maintenance cycle, we can slip through. Susan Miller, also promoted and now Ethan's second-in-command, added, "Their sensors won't detect our new stealth technology. We can position the fleet before they know we're there." Admiral Moore nodded. "The strike teams will focus on the research facilities. Our priority is rescuing any human captives. Secondary objective is capturing their scientists and research data." She looked around the room at the determined faces. They think us primitive. They think us weak. They believe 18 species united cannot be challenged by one. Her hand touched the screen showing Zeltarum. "It's time to show them how dangerous we really are when our children are threatened." The fleet moved silently toward its target, carrying humanity's wrath across the stars. The human fleet arrived at Zeltarum during the planet's night cycle. Their ships slipped through space undetected, using the stealth technology developed from the research station data. The massive blue-green planet loomed ahead, its rings glowing in the light of its sun. Scattered across its surface were cities and research facilities, all protected by powerful shields. Shield maintenance cycle begins in 5 minutes, Susan reported on the bridge of the Vengeance *. We'll have a 20-second window. Admiral Moore nodded. "All ships, prepare for jump on my mark." The fleet waited in tense silence. When the moment came, Moore gave the order. Now. 500 ships suddenly appeared in Zeltarum's orbit. Before the planet's defenses could respond, strike teams in small, fast shuttles rushed toward the surface. The Vengeance and other large warships positioned themselves above key military installations and began firing the new energy-disrupting weapons. On the ground, alarms blared as facility after facility lost power. The aliens who made up the Council's security forces scrambled to respond, but their weapons and communications were failing. Ethan Powell led one of the strike teams targeting the largest research complex on the planet. His shuttle landed in the courtyard of a massive building. Armed soldiers poured out, meeting light resistance from confused guards. "Remember, rescue first, then capture the scientists," Ethan ordered as his team moved through the darkened hallways. "Check every room." They found the first children in underground cells, 20 human boys and girls, aged 8 to 14, thin and scared, many with the same surgical scars and implants that Adam had. Medical teams rushed to stabilize them, while security teams moved deeper into the facility. In another section, they found the scientists. Most were Echlorlax, the same species as High Arbiter's Excalon. They cowered in a laboratory, surrounded by horrific tools and medical equipment, still stained with human blood. "You cannot do this," one alien said in broken English. "We are the Council. We have rights." Ethan's face was stone. "Where are the others?" he demanded. "We know there are more children here." The alien scientist blinked its large eyes. "Lower levels. Specimens in deep testing are kept below." Ethan fought the urge to strike the creature. "They are not specimens. They are children. Our children." More teams rushed to the lower levels. They found 30 more children, some in such bad condition they could barely be moved. Medical teams worked frantically to stabilize them for transport. Similar scenes played out across the planet as human forces struck with precision and fury. Their targets were specific: research facilities, military bases, and government centers. They avoided civilian areas, focusing only on those responsible for the atrocities. Admiral Moore's voice broadcast on all frequencies across the planet and to nearby Council worlds. "For our children." The Council had never expected humans to strike back. They had underestimated humanity's technological growth, their military capability, and most of all, their rage. The attack was over in hours. Human forces secured all research facilities, rescued 87 children, and captured hundreds of council scientists and officials. The Vengeance returned to orbit with its precious cargo. Medical bays were filled with rescued children. Many would need extensive treatment to remove implants and heal their wounds, both physical and mental. Adam visited them, moving from bed to bed, speaking softly to each child. "You're safe now," he told them. "You're going home." Some of the children couldn't speak. Others couldn't stop crying. A few just stared blankly, too traumatized to process their rescue. But they were alive, and they were free. In the ship's secure holding area, the captured council scientists waited for judgment. They had expected to be tortured as they had tortured the human children. Instead, they were given medical treatment, food, and water. "Why do you not hurt us?" one Sorlac scientist asked a guard. "We hurt your young." "Because we're not like you," the guard answered. On the bridge, Admiral Moore received messages from across human space. News of the successful rescue had spread. Families wept with hope that their missing children might be among those saved. Political leaders praised the mission's success. But Moore knew this was just the beginning. Her intelligence officers had extracted data from Turum's computers. There were 11 more facilities with human children, 11 more worlds to strike. "Set course for the next target," she ordered. "We're not done yet." The Council was about to learn an important lesson. Never harm the children of Earth. News of the human attack on Turum spread quickly through Council space. The 18 species that made up the Galactic Council had never faced such a direct challenge. What they had expected to be a simple punishment of an upstart species had become something far more dangerous. Over the next 2 weeks, Earth forces struck 3 more Council worlds. Each attack followed the same pattern: precise targeting of research facilities, rescue of human children, capture of those responsible. The Council rushed to strengthen defenses at their remaining facilities, but humans always seemed one step ahead. On the Vengeance Admiral Moore studied reports from the latest strike. They had rescued 32 more children, some barely alive after years of torture disguised as research. Her anger had not cooled with each success. If anything, it had grown stronger. "Admiral," a communication officer called. "We're receiving messages from 3 Council member species. They're requesting direct communication." Moore raised an eyebrow. "Put them through to the conference room." 3 alien faces appeared on separate screens. None were Korlax. One had purple skin and 4 eyes. Another resembled a large insect. The third looked almost human except for its blue skin and white hair. "I am Ambassador Vreen of the Tolari," said the purple-skinned alien. "With me are representatives of the Kishtak and Meridian peoples. We wish to discuss terms." "Terms?" Moore asked coldly. "We opposed the human experimentation program from the beginning," said the blue-skinned Meridian. The Xorlax pushed it forward despite objections from many council members. The insect-like Kishtak clicked its mandibles. "We have seen your broadcasts. The children. What was done to them?" Its translator conveyed its disgust. "This violated our own ethical codes." "Yet you did nothing to stop it," Moore said. "We were wrong," admitted Vreen. "Now we wish to help end this conflict before more suffer." "Help how?" Moore asked. "We can provide locations of all remaining facilities holding human children," Vreen said. "And we have recalled our military forces from Korlax space." Moore understood the implication. These species were stepping aside, leaving the Korlax to face human vengeance alone. "We will consider your offer," she said before ending the transmission. Similar messages came in from other council species in the days that followed. The unified front was crumbling. Intelligence reports showed ships and personnel being withdrawn from Korlax worlds. The architects of the experimentation program were being abandoned by their allies. Adam Clark, now respected as a key advisor despite his young age, reviewed the new intelligence with more. It was always the Korlax, he said quietly. They were the ones who designed the pain amplifiers. The other species mostly just watched or took notes. Moore nodded. Their homeworld is heavily defended. It won't be like the research facilities. But it's their center, Adam said. The place where all these decisions were made. Earth's leaders debated the next move. Some argued for accepting the offers from the breakaway council species. Others demanded that all who participated, even passively, must face justice. In the end, the decision came down to the families whose children had been taken. Jack and Mary Clark stood before the United Government representatives. Behind them were hundreds of other parents, some reunited with their rescued children, others still waiting and hoping. "We don't want war with all these aliens," Jack said, his voice firm. "We want justice for our children." The Korlax led this. The Korlax must pay. The vote was unanimous. The human fleet set course for Xorla, homeworld of the species that had orchestrated the torture of Earth's children. It would be the largest operation yet. The journey took 5 days. When they arrived, they found Xorla's defenses strengthened but isolated. No other council ships stood with them. The Korlax faced humanity's wrath alone. Admiral Moore addressed the fleet before the battle. "Today we strike at the heart of those who brought such pain to our children. We strike not in blind hatred, but in measured justice." She paused. "For our children." 500 human ships against the most advanced world in the Galactic Council. The battle for Xorla had begun. The battle for Xorla lasted 3 days. Human ships faced fierce resistance as they pushed toward the planet. The Xorlax fought with desperation, knowing they had no allies left. Their advanced weapons destroyed several Earth vessels, but the human fleet pressed on. On the 3rd day, the Vengeance broke through Xorla's outer defenses. Admiral Moore directed the assault from the bridge, her face grim as reports of casualties came in. The price was high, but Earth would not turn back. "Their planetary shield is failing," Susan reported. "Our energy disruptors are working. All ships focus fire on these coordinates," Moore ordered, marking government and military centers on the tactical display. No civilian targets. The sky above Xorla's capital blazed with weapons fire. Buildings that had stood for thousands of years crumbled under targeted strikes. In the Grand Palace at the city's center, High Arbiter Zex Kalen watched with disbelief as humans breached defenses his people had considered perfect. "How is this possible?" he asked his advisors. "They were primitives just decades ago." "They adapted," one advisor said simply, "just as we feared they would." When human troops landed in the capital, they met little resistance. Most Xorlax citizens had fled or hidden. Those who fought were quickly overcome. Within hours, Earth forces surrounded the palace. Ethan Powell led the team that entered the Grand Hall where Zex Kalen and the council leadership waited. Adam Clark walked beside him, insisting on facing those who had caused him so much pain. "You have violated all laws of civilization," Zex Kalen said as the humans approached. "The council has stood for 10,000 years. You cannot." "The council is finished," Ethan interrupted. "Your allies have abandoned you. Your research facilities are destroyed. Your victims are free." Zex Kalen's large eyes turned to Adam. "Specimen 37. You should thank us. Our work advanced your species' understanding by centuries." Adam stepped forward, his voice steady despite his fear. "My name is Adam Clark. I was 10 years old when you took me from my home. I am not a specimen. I am a human being." The Xorlax leader was taken to the Vengeance along with other high-ranking officials. Meanwhile, human forces secured the planet. The operation that became known as the Burning of Xorla entered its final phase. Earth had decided against destroying the planet. Instead, they dismantled the Xorlax government and military infrastructure. Research facilities were burned to the ground. Weapons systems were disabled permanently. The species that had brought such suffering to human children would never again have the power to harm others. 5 years after Adam's abduction, delegates from 27 species gathered on Earth. The Galactic Council had been dissolved. In its place, a new alliance formed, one built on principles of respect and cooperation. Adam, now 15, addressed the gathering. His parents sat in the front row, pride and love on their faces. 5 years ago, I was taken from my home. Adam began. I suffered in ways no child should ever suffer. Many others experienced the same cruelty. Some never came home. He paused, looking at the alien representatives. What followed was a war none of us wanted, but one that became necessary. The room was silent as he continued. Today, we begin something new. Not based on fear or control, but on understanding and respect. The past cannot be changed, but the future is ours to build. He smiled slightly, and humans are very good at building things. The new alliance established strict ethical standards for interaction between species. The former council races that had participated in the experiments faced reparation requirements and oversight. The Horlax, stripped of their military power, were not permitted to leave their homeworld for 50 years. In orbit around Earth, a memorial station was built. It displayed the names of every human child taken by the council. Some had returned home. Others had not survived. The final exhibit showed images of the rebuilt worlds alongside a simple phrase that had become humanity's promise to its children: never again. Jack and Mary Clark visited the memorial often. They would look at the stars and remember the price paid for justice, and they would hold their son close, grateful that some stories, even the darkest ones, could still find light at the end.